And we are live with one of my favorite people on the planet, Justin Donald, who just launched this book, The Lifestyle Investor. Justin, I got the hardcover. It is so sexy. I love it. Congratulations on your book launch.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you've been so much help with this, and I can repay the compliments equally, if not greater, to say you're one of my favorite people, and you just offer so much value to the world all the time. So, it's fun hanging out, and just fun seeing all the moves that you're making in the world today, and everything that NG is doing is really cool.
Absolutely. I agree. We had our biggest year ever last year in the middle of a pandemic and an election year. And why is that? I will say because I believe that we really had to focus on developing meaningful connection with everybody that we interact with, whether it's our followers or clients like you, Justin. We went all in on really finding commonalities between the people that we served, really being of service, educating, going above and beyond. I think that's a really important part of growing a platform. And I'm mentioning this because you are at a stage this year where you are venturing off and starting your own platform based on this idea. And I'm not going to tell your whole story, but this idea came to you through one of your colleagues who suggested that you not just be a practitioner of investing, cash flow investing, as you called it back then, but you should write your methodology and your approach into a book for your daughter, Savannah. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, Amber, that's exactly it. For years, I have had friends telling me, hey, you should write a book, or can you, start a course, or can you do something? Just teach me what you're doing because I want to copy it. And I have always told people I'm an open book. I'll share whatever you want to share, but it's just so much easier when people can do it on their own time. And then I just also think for the greater impact, some of these people were wanting it, not necessarily for them, although they would be happy to, partake, but just that it could be bigger. And I just kept putting it off. I mean, for years, I put it off. And it's been on my list. Like I literally have had on my dreams list since 2006, October of 2006, that I want to write a book. So that's how long it's been.
I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah. It's been lingering in my mind for a long time. But it wasn't until, I had a good friend say, hey, Justin, what would it be like if you died and you never captured any of this advice for your daughter? And man, that was really, a hard hit. I mean, I'll tell you what, if there's any, they always say that pain is more powerful than pleasure. And that was true in that instant, because 2 days later, I started writing the book. And, I had a good rough outline, and then I, teamed up with some friends just to see if we could record some stuff. And if they could ask me good questions to kind of extract content from my head. And, the rest is history. And I've had a lot of people that have given me feedback along the way, that have read it, that have said, well, hey, when you coached me, this was the most impactful thing. So can you put that in the book? And so not only is it just ideas that I've had, but it's things that I've taught for years that maybe I forgot I taught.
It is something that I point out to all of my clients, is that you should look at the things that you take for granted, the things you're like, what? It's no big deal. Everybody does that. It just comes so naturally to me. It's no big deal. That's exactly what you should really start to focus on in terms of your content. Whatever comes naturally to you, that's your unique ability. And Justin, for you especially, you've heard me say this a bunch of times, I've been around other financial advisors and people that are really into investing, and it's like they talk to me in Greek, and I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, but it overwhelms me. And when Justin and I sat down at Hal Elrod's Best Year Ever conference last December, he was telling me about his methodology, and I got it like that. It was like, totally understood it. He explains things so simply. Not that I'm a lay person, but I'm a creative, I'm a marketer, so it's like we all have our talents, this not being one of mine. And so I really appreciate that this does come very naturally to you, and the way that you structure your methodology, the way that you talk about it, makes it easy for anybody to understand it and immediately put that into practice. And that's what Ryan Levesque was saying about you yesterday on your launch stream launch live stream party, is he was also talking about how you don't need tons of money to invest, that you just need to get started. And this book is going to teach you how to do that. So dig a little bit more into your 10 commandments, maybe touch on a few that you feel are something that we want to share with the audience today. Give them an understanding of what this book is really about. It's awesome.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for the kind words. And, I'm just blessed to be teamed up and partnered with so many amazing people, you and your company. And, I've just had some great minds that I've worked with, like Mike Koenigs and Marisa Brassfield and Ryan Levesque. And I mean, there are just tons of great people, Carrie Oberbrunner. And so it's a team effort, so it's interesting because I've had all this stuff in my head, but it's not always the easiest process actually getting it out, and to say, well, like some stuff I've been investing for 22 years. So some stuff it's like, it's intuitive, right? So how do you describe that? So it actually takes some time to figure out like, what is that? But yeah, so the 10 commandments are kind of like my 10 criteria for why I invest, or what I need to see for me to feel good in investing in something. And so the first one is the first for a reason, and it's called lifestyle first, because I believe that the way you invest should amplify or enhance your lifestyle. I don't want to be a slave to my business or to a job or even to security, and I feel like at many stages in my life, I've been a slave to each of those. And I don't want that. I want to separate my time from my income. And so that's what lifestyle first is. How do you invest in assets that produce income? So that way your time's not responsible for producing income. And so, I kind of dive into that and into even, how much time is worth it to spend, and when can you graduate to something that's totally passive, takes no time whatsoever. For some people that might be right away. And for other people, they might want to get their hands, a little more dirty in getting into deals that could return a higher profit. So it all depends on the person, but looking at it from the lens of lifestyle first, I think is really important. We're not trying to add more work to someone's plate. We're trying to give them a better life.
Isn't that what I actually called this out on yesterday's launch party. You had a section in here called wealth optimization. I even earmarked it because I just love the way that you spoke about, I gave Jason my copy. I had a paperback copy. That's where I earmarked it and took all the notes. I forgot. I was like, you have to read this book this morning. So I gave it to him. But you talk about wealth optimization, and it's, people hear the word wealth and investing and they make an assumption about that. But what I love about your brand, Justin, is you're talking about, well, that's just a part of it. Wealth gives you the freedom that you can then go take trips, and you can take care of your body. You can take care of your mind. You can hire people to help you live the kind of life that you want. So talk a little bit more about your lifestyle. Forget about the investing for a minute. Talk about the life that you have, because I think it's amazing.
Sure.
It's your anniversary today, right? 10 years? Did I get the
so on Friday. So today's Savannah's birthday, and then Friday's our 10-year. You're right there. Hey, you know the dates. Yeah. So, I mean, we got some really fun plans here for the weekend, but, when I think about wealth optimization, first and foremost, it is about buying your time back, because time is everything. It's your most limited resource. It's the most valuable thing. You can't get it back once you've spent it. So to me, everything revolves around getting time. And when you have time, you can focus on your health. And that can be physical, that can be emotional, it can be spiritual, it can be intellectual. You can focus on your gifts, or, the purpose that you have in your life, or the passions that you have, making a difference, impact. There's just so much that is bigger than just your finances. So, finances solve financial problems, and that's great. That's needed. Those are real problems. But when you buy your time back, and you can impact all these other areas of your life, it does wonders for you. So for me, my goal was to be able to work because I wanted to, not because I had to, and to work on something that I was passionate about, and to work with people that, inspire me and excite me. And so, I wanted to get to a point where I didn't have to work. And when I do work, I can work for whatever time frame I want, and I can work anywhere in the world. at that, and I can stop at any time and just say, all right, pause, because I'm going to take 2 months with my family and go travel, go to Europe, go to, just go abroad anywhere. I mean, this summer we weren't able to honor our Europe trip because the borders got closed, but we went all over, and we went and visited you in Denver and spent a month in Colorado and went all over to, all of our favorite fun cities. And we spent another month, on the coasts, and we hit up the Gulf, and we hit up some mountains, and, we just had a great time. So to me, it's life on your terms. So that's what my lifestyle is. And it's ever changing and ever evolving. I just want to be able to live a life that to me is exceptional.
I can almost hear somebody in the audience right now saying, well, yeah, it must be nice for you, Justin. You're probably dripping in wealth and you can do whatever you want, but that's not me. And I don't have a bunch of money to invest right now. And so talk to me about how to overcome that objection. Like, do I need $10,000? Do I need $100,000? Do I need more than that? What do I need to just get started, do you think?
Well, there are a couple of things. So number one, you don't need any money. Now, does money help? The more money you have, can you get there faster? Sure. But is that the only way? No. And in fact, I highlight one deal, and it might be two deals, for sure one deal that cost me no money. Like it was a $0 investment. That was one of my biggest returns I've ever had. So, that's one thing. And there are a lot of strategies to be able to do that. But there's something else along the lines of mindset. I think the most important thing that people have is a wealth mindset. People who are wealthy have a common wealth mindset, and people who are not don't. So that really is one of the missing links. And I talk a lot about that in my book in the beginning, because you want to spend time around people that have that mindset, that can, rub off on you. So it really challenges you and impacts you in a way that you start thinking differently. Because if you get in the habit of investing money, even if it's a little bit. I mean, when I first started investing, I was 18 years old. I invested $5,500 for the year. I don't know what that breaks down to per week, but that's not a lot. But that doing that for a year disciplined my muscle for always taking some of my paycheck and investing it. And so it became easier when I made more money. And it became easier if I got a bonus. And it became easier when I made enough that I didn't have to raise my quality of life to match my income. I would just take the overage and invest it. And so a lot of these are disciplines and habits, and it's a wealth mindset. And it's not like I grew up with this. I hung out with people. I was intentional with where I spent time. And I literally hung out with people that this was how they thought, and this is the way that they lived. And then eventually that's kind of how I started to act. And it started with authors, because at the beginning I didn't know who to turn to. So I just read, Robert Kiyosaki. And there are tons of authors that, did a great job in the financial space. Tim Ferriss had a big impact on me early in my professional career, and some of his ideas, on automation and systems, and even the way to look at cash flow. There are a lot of people that they have no clue that they were my mentor, but they were.
Wow. So tell me the story again. Jennifer, you wanted to replace her income first. Take me back to that moment, that conversation, that decision, because that was, in my memory, a big part of how you then came to get to this point.
Yeah, so that one was interesting because Jennifer was a teacher, and she taught high school business, and she's great at it. She really enjoys teaching.
Wife, I'm just telling you, she's amazing.
Yeah, she is. I lucked out big time, and so it wasn't like she wanted to stop working necessarily. She was actually worried that she may not like not working until she didn't have to work, and she's like, "This is amazing." But she was really concerned at the beginning, for sure. And I always told her, you can always go sub. You can always, there are ways that you can stay integrated and teach. You can volunteer your time. But what it was is our schedules didn't line up. So it was partially that we wanted to improve our lifestyle from the standpoint of being able to travel and do life together. And so as a teacher, she was off during the summer. In the business I was in at that time, which is Cutco, you remember that, that's busy in the summer. That's my busiest, I was as busy as any time of year. Like that was it. That was the peak season. And so that was tough. And then I wanted, during my time where I wasn't as busy, I wanted to be able to go do stuff, but she was working, so she had a pretty standard, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And there aren't a whole lot of vacation days during the school year. So it was even hard to do extended weekends. So I was like, well, what would it look like if she just didn't work? And I found an asset that paid us what she earns from her time. And so I looked around and bought some real estate, and I had friends that were in real estate, and I had seen people that were, investing in a way that they had cash flow. But that was the first one for me that I did. And that first purchase replaced her income. So did it replace $36,000 on the dot? No, but it replaced her after-tax income. So whatever she had left over after taxes, we had that income coming in. It was like a tad bit under. But it didn't matter. Like that was what we needed to cover her. So she was able to stop working, and that was great because, we had our daughter and she was able to stay home more. We were able to travel more. I mean, it was a good move for us.
I just love that story. I'm never going to get sick of hearing it because it's just, first of all, making the choice. And second of all, if you just look at it like replacing the income that you're bringing in. I think before that, I was thinking it was some big, scary, insurmountable goal. And now when you put it that way, all of that time ago, it was like, oh, just replace this amount of money every month. How can you do that? And then you work because it's a choice, right? Not because you feel like you have to. Then it's like, well, how am I spending my time? How do I want to spend my time from here? Could I do it in Europe for a month? And how much do I want to work? Because a lot of entrepreneurs love working. Like that's an itch that we have to scratch. We have to feel like we're being productive, we're making an impact. It's not all about vacationing, though it's really nice.
Yeah, it's interesting because $36,000 a year sounds like a lot, but it's only $3,000 a month. So $3,000 a month is actually a little bit more like bite-sizable. I'm not saying that that's necessarily easy, but in my mind, I was like, okay, I could figure out how to do that. I don't know if I could just replace $36,000 like that, but I could figure out how to replace $3,000. And even if I don't get it right away with the first investment, what if I covered 1,000 of it? What if I covered enough to cover our car payments? Or what if I covered enough to cover our, mortgage? That's so, for me, it ended up being all of it, but I would have been just fine if it was less than that. I just happened to find a deal that worked out and the seller was willing to sell or finance it. So I didn't have to use a bank and everything just kind of lined up.
That's amazing. And look at you now with this book launch. I'm so excited. I'm going to share my screen here again because I want to make sure that I'm showing everybody. You can go to lifestyleinvestor.com, get your copy on Amazon. You'll see there are tons of endorsements all over Justin's website. A lot of people have read this book. They are blown away by it. They are buying bulk copies of it. They're giving it out to their mastermind communities, their clients, their business groups. Like this book is phenomenal. Get it immediately. Justin, why don't you talk through some of these bonuses that you are giving to people who buy a copy of the book today?
Sure. And by the way, we had such a big day. We may have broken Amazon because we're sold out of hardcover right now. Like as we speak, it says out of stock. Oh my God. We're like working on this. We're like, how does Amazon go out of stock on something? So that's kind of a crazy deal, but soft cover and ebook are good, and the Audible. Amazon's taking their sweet time, but that's all right. This bonus is cool for those of you that like Audibles, though. So the first bonus, which is pretty fun, is you're going to get my 10 commandments of lifestyle investing. And so it's my 10 criteria, but it's a one sheet that you can print out and you can put that, wherever it's going to remind you to stay intentional about passive income. The second bonus is that you're going to get access to the first module on the Lifestyle Investor course. So I built out this really cool course. That's a handful. I think it's 8 modules, and it's awesome. We've gotten great reviews, and it's taking the book content and then diving deeper with it in each section. So it's really fun. And I do that with my friend Carrie Oberbrunner. And then the third one is access to a 75-minute class that I did. And so this class right now is a class that I ran previously, but I'm in process of actually putting together a new class here shortly that will go up. But this is one that I've had a lot of people check out that really was a pivotal class for many that are currently inside my Lifestyle Investor Mastermind. And then the fourth one is to receive the first 3 chapters of the Lifestyle Investor audiobook. So that's fun. And this one, I did something special because after each chapter, I did a separate interview on that chapter. So I'm really proud of that. And, I just think it's kind of neat because I got the idea from David Goggins in Can't Hurt Me. I read that book and it was like, whoa. I mean, technically I listened to it, right? So I didn't read it.
Yeah.
He
integrate that. It's such a smart idea.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's like podcast plus Audible all mixed together. And I heard that. I'm like, this is so cool. I'm going to do that. And this is before I don't even know if I had started writing my book yet. I just remember hearing that and I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah, it sure is. So in the process of writing the book, Justin, and I know we're kind of winding down our time, but there had to have been a story. There had to have been some section in the book that's like one of your favorites where maybe you read it and you're like, oh, that's good. I love that. Can you think of anything? I know I'm putting on the spot here, tons of content in the book, but do you have like a favorite story or teaching topic that you can share with us right now out of the book?
Sure. Well, I mean, one of my favorite stories is the story of my first client. So I don't want to get too much into that, but that's a pretty fun story and it's near and dear to my heart because it was the first person. And then, there's, I've got a pretty fun story about how I made a big mistake. I mean, the first story that I actually tell in the book is a story where I lost a lot of money. I made a bad investment and I got too excited about how good a deal sounded and didn't listen to the good advice from my legal team. And that was a disastrous situation. And I'm glad I went through it because I'm a better investor today because of it. And anyone who invests is going to lose at some point. But it's better that you learn from me and my mistakes than for you to make your own same mistakes. Like, allow me to save you the burden of losing a lot of money because you didn't have criteria to follow and you trusted your emotions, which you should never do. And I did.
Awesome. That is actually, it was a good story. I enjoyed that. And it is important that those learning lessons, the painful moments, that's where the true gold is, right? That's really where it's at. Justin, we have a community at NGNG that is full of authors like yourself, speakers, and a lot of people that are currently in the process of writing their book or they're currently in the process of building their website. They're thinking about live streaming. They're nervous about it. Can I do this? I'm overwhelmed. Who should I trust? In the journey that you've taken in the past year, you have learned a remarkable amount about how to grow your business online, how to launch a book. Do you have a couple of pieces of advice for people that are just about to embark upon this journey?
Yeah, I would say you've got to take the first step. The unknown is scary, but you just have to do it. And you're not going to know what you're doing until you start doing it most of the time. So you might as well not wait until you know it all to start, but rather just start and figure it out as it goes. It might feel a little messy, but you're going to get a lot more done than if you wait until everything seems like it's lined up and then start moving forward. It's the whole idea of, instead of ready, aim, fire, it's ready, fire, aim. And so that has been really good for me. And then I think you need to partner with amazing people. So I luckily partnered with Amber and with her team, and her team is top notch, and Amber is incredible. And so we've been able to create so much stuff that, like, on my own, I would have never been able to do. First of all, I would have never been able to do it Second of all, if I did figure it out, it would be just like 1/100th of what Amber and her team are able to put together. And then they also had ideas that I didn't have. They also had strategies that I would have never thought of, or maybe it would have taken me a year, 2, 3 years to figure that strategy out because I'm just not in that space. This isn't my expertise. My expertise is what I know. I'm a practitioner of investing. I'm not a marketer. I'm not someone who knows how to build stuff online. I'm not someone that knows how to, write a book or launch a book or any of this, but her team can literally do everything.
Well, thank you. And a major shout out to Gary Overbrunner. You mentioned him a couple of times, but his team has really shown up as well. And you're constantly endorsing them. So, I know you agree in that, but it really does take a village, right? I mean, you are really great at what is in this book, and that's why people need to go buy it. Justin, what has been something like, really think about what you experienced yesterday in that live stream launch party. And I mean, people were showering you with praise. I can't even imagine what that must have felt like for you. Probably like overwhelming in the best of ways. But maybe touch on, now that you've been through the heartache, you've launched the book. We had to actually push the launch 3 different times. So you've really been through a lot. It wasn't an easy process to get to this point. The book is gorgeous. You had a bunch of people celebrating you yesterday. What did that feel like for you?
Well, it feels really incredible. And for me, I'm a relationship guy. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to look at how many books people bought. I'm going to look at who rallied to support me. And I just feel like the luckiest guy in the world because of the teams that I have, the teams that, strategically helped me, and then the teams that strategically supported me and showed up during an important time in my life. And again, with this book, all the proceeds are going to charity. So I'm not trying to sell books for the sake of selling books. I want to have impact. I want to help people from the standpoint of financial freedom with the education of the book. I want to help people that are human trafficked and don't have their basic freedoms from the proceeds. And so, of course, I want to see a lot of books sold for that sake, but it's not about, to me, how many books are sold. I know there's going to be impact. I just want there to be as much as there can. And it was just a celebration yesterday. Someone said, "Hey, how did it go? How many books did you sell?" And I said, "I have no clue how many I sold. I actually don't want to know, because what matters to me is, that my team was there and we got to hang and we got to celebrate, and it was just beautiful."
It really was fun. And, I can speak to Justin's character, and I know we're at time. I'm going to ask you one last fast question, but just to speak to Justin's character, it's so easy to support you. You are such a giving human, and you have integrity, and you do the right thing, and you over deliver, and you're always there for your friends. It's just amazing. I don't know how on earth you do it all. And your family is amazing. Like, when you see somebody like Justin, it's important that you really kind of take stock and think, like, am I really showing up and being my highest and best self here? And if the answer is no, then it's time to choose your circle and find a way into Justin's circle and get to know what his mindset is. What is his perspective? What is he doing? And how can you adopt that into your own reality to then grow into your highest and best self? So it's one of my favorite things of being around you, Justin, is you make me want to be better. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Thanks for the kind words. And to, anyone that feels like they're not even in a place where they can afford to get the book, or they're unsure. I mean, number one, I can assure you that you can, and you can get the ebook for 99 cents. But number two, I got a lot of free resources on my website at justindonald.com or lifestyleinvestor.com. And so, there's all kinds of stuff there. And then I've got a podcast as well. And so, that's free. And I've got some really cool guests that are on the podcast that I just think the world of. Like, I'm featuring people that, I personally just want to hang out with myself, and I just thought it'd be cool to invite an audience in to hear what we talk about.
And that really is the way to do it, right? It's just great. So you can get Justin's course here, learn all about it, go to the podcast tab. Just be sure to subscribe, leave a review. You know how important that is. My last question for you, Justin, is I just want to give you free reign now to share anything that's in your heart that you feel like, oh, dang, we forgot to talk about this, or I just want people to know this one thing. This is what I really want to say to people. What would that be?
Yeah. So the way I end each of my podcasts is take action today. Take one more step. Move closer to financial freedom and move one step towards the life that you desire. Not a life by default, but a life by design. And that's really what I, strongly want to encourage everyone to do. And that doesn't mean that you've got to go out and make some huge, crazy investment. It literally just means like pick someone that is good at this that you want to pick their brain on. Add someone to your peer group. Like a lot of this stuff, it doesn't cost anything. Or, maybe take someone to coffee, say, hey, I'd love to pick your brain. Can I take you to coffee? That's what I did. I made a career of that. I mean, I did that for years and years and years. There was a stretch in my life where I was meeting a new person, generally 2 per week, at least 1 per week, but generally it was 2 per week for, close to a decade.
Wow. Great advice. Great interview, great human, great book. Go buy a copy of this today for your team, for your clients. Share it, tag your friends, start a watch party on this episode. Please help get the word out. You can always trust what Justin has to say. Subscribe to his email community. Justin, thank you for being such a good friend, for just giving us your time here today. And I cannot wait for what we do next this year, because it is going to be epic and it is going to help a whole lot of people. So thank you for showing up and doing what you do every day.
It is. Well, thank you, because I couldn't do it without you. So that's what partnerships are all about.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we will see you on the next episode. Share this with your friends.